Hello and welcome back to another video from Old Frames Gaming. I'm your host BK, and as always I'm thankful you joined us for another Premodern video. Today's video is the second round match from our October meetup at Dragon's Den, and it features Shane on his blue, white, and green Treva Oath deck versus Colin playing his red-black Goblins list. Let's take a look at the deck list and see what our competitors are playing. First up is Shane's Treva Oath list. This deck utilizes a wide variety of cards to help maintain control of the board through a number of ways, such as permission, like Mana Leak and Counterspell, removal via Swords to Plowshares, Wrath of God, and Cataclysm, and then seeks to end the game purely off the back of your opponents playing their own creatures to advance their board state. With some tools like Sylvan Library, Impulse, and Enlightened Tutor, Shane will easily be able to find a copy of Oath of Druids to cheat out a beefy beater like Phantom Neshoba, or play the long game and finish off his opponent with a Decree of Justice. His sideboard has some additional answers for specific matchups, including Phyrexian Furnace for graveyard-based strategies, Circle of Protection Red and Ancestors Chosen for red matchups, or where life loss could be problematic, Crater Hellion for clearing the board of quick creatures off of an Oath of Druids, as well as a Trixie Juke with Parallax Tide combo just ready to be slotted into the main deck. Overall, this is a pretty resilient deck with a very competent pilot, and I'm definitely curious to see how it plays out. Next up is Colin's red and black Goblin list. This deck plays a lot of the little green men you'd expect to see in an aggro control style build. Colin's also packing some board control of his own through Diabolic Edict, and some ways to interact with his opponent's mana via Wasteland and Rishadan Port. Being able to recur some of his own creatures through Volrath Stronghold also seems to be a solid choice. Colin's sideboard features some additional creature removal and pyrokinesis, and he's brought along ways to fight graveyard strategies too, having 2 copies of Tormod's Crypt available. Gloom and Anarchy are here to punish anyone playing planes in their deck, and he's also brought a couple of blast effects to combat those tricky blue mages. Lastly, and perhaps most interestingly, 4 copies of Drawnu's Crusade are here to give his team a boost where needed, and it just might help him circumvent an opposing Circle of Protection red by making his team black creatures instead of red. I'm curious to see if this might come into play. And now that we've examined what our players are on for this round, let's check out the action and see how it all unfolds. And here we are in game 2. Colin is going to be on the play in this game, and he has opted to mulligan to 6 cards. These players having some discussion before the game begins. Shane has opted to keep his full grip of 7 cards from his opening draw. Colin's going to lead off on a Bloodstained Mire, go to 19, and go digging for land. And it looks like he has found a mountain. He shuffles up and presents to Shane, who is satisfied with the randomization. And it looks like we're getting ready to deploy likely a Mog Fanatic here. Nope, I was wrong. Shane's found an Adhikar Waste. He's going to go with Enlightened Tutor, probably to find an Oath of Druids. Trying to set this up already. Just digging for those Neshobas. So Oath of Druids is going to go on top here for Shane. And he's going to pass the turn back over to Colin. Colin's going to untap, take a look at a new one. Looks like he's stuck on lands right now, unfortunately. He's going to swing on in for 1. Looks like that might have been a Goblin Lackey. So he's going to play out 2 Goblins this turn. Looks like War Chief into Pile Driver. So that's a pretty good opener for Colin. So Shane's going to go ahead and take his turn. He's found another Pain Land in Brushland, and he's going to go ahead and play out that Oath of Druids, go down to 17, and pass the turn. So Colin's a little under the gun here. He's going to have to find some kind of way to get in as much damage as possible. Can we deal 17 this turn? Well, we can certainly deal quite a bit, but I don't know that it's going to be enough. So Pile Driver is going to get +6/+0. So that looks to be 7, 8, 9, 10, and some unknown, 11. So Shane's going to go to 6 life here. He's going to untap and trigger his Oath and go find one of these Neshobas, or possibly an Ancestor's Chosen or something else. Nope, we've decided to go with Neshoba. So now we got a 7/7 life-gaining creature on board. But Colin is holding a Diabolic Edict, so if he can manage to find a black source, he could close this game out next turn. Potentially. So Colin's going to untap. Finds a Rashadan Port. He finds another Mog Fanatic. He's going to send the team. So Pile Driver gets blocked, so he's going to take 2, 3, 4, 5. But he's going to gain a bunch of life. Lackey hits and puts in Matron, but I think we need to resolve the life gain, life loss here. So ultimately, Shane winds up on 8 life. Pile Driver is going to go to the graveyard. Shane's going to go digging for a forest or a plains. And then Colin is going to go and try to find his favorite goblin. All right, these players shuffling up and cutting here. I'm going to trigger Oath. I believe that Ancestors Chosen is in Shane's hand, so we're not going to see that, which would be an obscene amount of life gain mostly. But he did find another Phantom Neshoba, and that's almost as good in this scenario. So another 7/7 comes down for Shane. He's going to draw his card for the turn. Looks like he's found a Flooded Strand. And in comes Neshoba for 6. Colin is opting to take the 6 damage here. Shane is going to gain 6 life and go to 14. So Colin going down to 13 here. It's not impossible for this deck to put up 14 damage in a turn, but it is going to be tough. So Shane is going to go searching for another basic land here. He finds an island, and he's going to go to 13. Colin's still holding on to that Diabolic Edict. Shane looking over his grip here. Appears to be some discussion between these two players. If that were a terminate, this might be pretty good if he were to draw a black source. Alright, so Shane is going to go ahead and play Wrath of God and get rid of everything and just start over. And he passes the turn. So Colin's going to take a look at another Diabolic Edict, unfortunately, and passes quickly back over to Shane, who finds another Plains. And that standstill is probably about to hit the board, ladies and gentlemen. And in fact, it does. He's going to pass back over to Colin. Colin's going to draw for the turn. He's going to crack that standstill. That appears to be a Skirk Prospector, which is not really too helpful in this scenario at this specific point in time, but could be good later on. Shane's going to trigger Oath and go find another Neshoba, most likely. Or, I'm sorry, he won't find a Neshoba. They're both in the graveyard. So, let's see what he does find. Well, he finds a Gaia's Blessing, so that's going to shuffle everything back in. Shane randomizing everything here. Alright, we've got it cut and ready to go. Shane's going to draw his card for the turn. Appears to be a Fairy Conclave. An oldie but goodie. Here comes Treetop Village, another one. Probably the two most played man lands out of that particular set. Alright, we're taking damage. We should be at 12, but we're at 13, and that's alright. So he passes back over to Colin. Colin draws what appears to be another Ringleader. It's just short on lands this game. It's just an unfortunate way to go out. So now we've got another Gaia's Blessing trigger. And we're just digging for a creature at this point. And we find a Neshoba. So now everything's going to shuffle back in. We've got a 7/7 on board. That appears to be a Sylvan Library. So, okay, I see what's going on here. It's difficult to tell from the glare, and I apologize for that. We've got some things in the work to hopefully help prevent some of that in the future videos. All right, Shane tapping 2. He's going to activate Treetop Village and send it on into the red zone. Colin's going to take 3, go down to 10. He should have used that Rashad Port. Could have tapped that thing down. All right, so here comes another pile driver, which is going to mean a mana leak. The door is quickly shutting on Colin, unfortunately. But this Treva Oath deck has been impressive. All right, here comes a 7/7 and a 3/3 Trampler into the red zone. Colin opts to block. He's going to take 3, I guess, and go to 7. Shane should have gained some life there. I guess we missed that trigger. We also missed removing the counter. So here comes another Goblin Lackey. That's going to meet a counter spell as well in Mana Leak. And Colin says, you know what? You've got this, bud. I've had enough. Well, thank you everybody for staying tuned and watching this particular round of Premodern from Dragon's Den. If you like this kind of content, I would ask that you like and subscribe the video. It kind of helps our viewership a little bit. Stay tuned for additional videos from this channel, as well as some upcoming different formats. If you're interested in old school Magic, we would encourage you to check out Joe Singer's channel, The Orb, where he previews a good deal of different formats in the old school realm, and it's super entertaining, and he does a fantastic job. If you're ever in the area of Western Kentucky, swing on by at Dragon's Den in Eddyville and check them out. Those guys are top notch. Can't find a better group of dudes. Stay tuned for the next video. Thanks again.